Should faith-based groups be able to make employment decisions based on sexual orientation?
Should faith-based groups? Okay, I gotta put my lawyer hat on here for a moment, because this is a question of law. There was a time when faith-based groups refused to serve African Americans because they didn't like them. There was a time when faith-based groups used to have lynching parties. I think we can all agree that's not where we want to go, right? That was a time in our history we don't want to repeat. So what does it mean? I remember when we were here in 14, we had a long conversation about whether pastors or priests should be forced to marry same-sex marriages. And I said, no, that's separation of church and state. A church can't be forced to, give the sacrament of marriage if it intersects with their faith. Hiring decisions? Where does that line stop? I don't know where that line stops. We don't like black people, so we're not going to hire them. We don't like Jews. We don't like redheads, right? Is that the country we are? Again, there are homosexual people of every faith, every denomination. Jewish, Christian, Methodist, Presbyterian, Muslim, right? So what? A devout Catholic happens to be homosexual and wants to work in the church, in the secretary's office of their church? They could say no. I think that's up to, it would be litigated. I don't think it's something that should be legislated, personally. I think the courts are much better at protecting the Constitution than Congress is. But I think it's certainly an interesting question, but we have to look at our history to see if it's ever been abused. And we know that it has. So, thank you.
Act has already been legislated. And it wasn't in 2016, it was 1965, the Civil Rights Act. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, very specifically when it deals with faith-based employers, faith-based organizations. It could be a school, it could be a university, anything that is faith-based. In terms of their human resources, they have that protection under the Civil Rights Act. So if you choose to ignore the Civil Rights Act, choose to repeal that, then that's the action it would have to take. I choose to stand by the Civil Rights Act. This is about religious freedom. And I think this was the underlying principle of which our ancestors, our folks who came to this country seeking, William Penn, seeking religious freedom. And it's a basic principle that our country was founded under. And in 1964, 1965, when they did the Civil Rights Act, they very specifically laid out Title VII, which protects that. You know who agrees with me on that? President Obama. Because there was twice where he's tried to do some things that perhaps I don't agree with, but he didn't go that far. He chose not to violate the Civil Rights Act and Title VII of that. I have some colleagues that would like to ignore that or overturn it, but I stand by the Civil Rights Act, and I stand by employers' ability to, religious, faith-based organizations to make decisions in terms of their human resources, so their hiring practices.
I wish we could go on, but we're nearing 9 o'clock, so we'll have to wrap things up. At this time, we're going to have 2-minute closing remarks. Ms. Taylor is up first, followed by Glenn Thompson.